talkSPORT, Matterface and Gabby Agbonlahor. Midday, good afternoon to you, whatever you're doing today. Thank you very much for lending us your ears. It's Sam Matterface and Alex Crook alongside Gabby Agbonlahor, who, how many caps for England?
I got 3.
3 England caps.
Should have been more, but
Should have been more.
too many good players better than me.
England manager Thomas Tuchel has been speaking in the last 24 hours about the kind of characters that he's going to need in his World Cup squad. He says that players will need to have the right social skills and personality to get in the final 26. He's only got 2 friendlies in March against Uruguay and Japan before having to name his squad for the finals, where England face Croatia, Ghana and Panama in the group stages. Tuchel says he needs to get the right balance in his squad. And actually, having sort of spent a bit of time with him over the last year or so, I get the sense that the way he wants to formulate the squad is to have a core group of ones who will be playing, and then the other probably 10 that won't play as much will have to be very, very good around the camp and be very helpful to the rest of those that are playing and not be a problem.
Yes, I understand what he's saying. What he's basically saying is that I want players that if you're not playing, I still want you smiling. I still want you to be bubbly. I still want you to enjoy the 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks that you're away. And I look at players like Dan Burn. I don't think Dan Burn starts in our best defence, but he'll be in the squad and he'll be a great character. Jordan Henderson, Dean Henderson, goalkeeper. Players like that, they're the ones that he wants. But what he won't want is, let's say Cole Palmer, for instance, isn't playing for 2, 3, 4 games. He's not going to want someone like that maybe to be sulking. So he's got that's going to maybe cost a few players if they can't be up for the rest of the team.
It's even trickier this time, isn't it? Because it's quite a long camp. When are the friendlies due to take place in Miami?
Well, they, I think, will go out on the 1st or 2nd of June. They'll be in camp for about 2 weeks before they then go and play their first game at the World Cup. During that camp, they'll play 2 games, one on the Saturday, I think, and one on the Wednesday just before the World Cup.
And if they go all the way through to
that'll
the
be
final, you're talking about the best part of 7 weeks, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
But it's always like that. Because even if they're not in camp away in America, usually they're at St George's Park for the 2 weeks before they go off to a European Championship.
I've spoken to players that have been away with England and you've done 11v11 and you're not even in the 22 because there's obviously 25, 30 players or whatever.
Well, there's 26 now, yeah.
Yeah, so you could do an 11v11, Thomas Tuchel, and you're not involved.
Yeah.
But you've got to keep your head and just say, like, listen, you know what you're here for. You might not even play a minute of the World Cup. So he's going to judge those characters very carefully.
He says, when I speak to players who have been in World Cups, it's always made the difference when the connections were right, the communications were right. When the players had the feeling that the right group is in camp, they know their role, they know why they're in camp and what is expected of them. They had the feeling the tournament could go on for another 4 weeks and they'd be happy together if they're successful. One of the brilliant things that Serena Wiegmann has always been credited with the Lionesses is that she goes into the camps beforehand with everybody understanding what they're going to do. You're going to be a starter. You're going to be coming off the bench. You're going to be a squad player. So you know before you leave what to expect from the tournament. You're under no illusions that it's going to be like this. Then she may have to change it midway through depending on what's happening. But she makes it very clear, this is my preferred situation. This is what I expect your role to be. So the players go away in the full knowledge of how the 7 weeks is going to pan out.
Harry Kane is going to play every game. He's my striker. But you know what, Ollie Watkins? Like, you're going to come on for me and you're going to try and make a difference if you can. Or if that's Calvert-Lewin, if it's whoever it is who is that backup striker, then they'll know. So they're not going to be sulking if they're doing well in training and they're thinking, I should be starting for Harry Kane.
But that communication is really key, isn't
100%.
it? Making sure that everybody knows their role in the camps.
Of course. And, well, it does bring into debate again Jude Bellingham's role. Is he a guaranteed starter? Is Morgan Rogers ahead of him as a number 10? If so, is he going to be the greatest tourist in the world? Because obviously Thomas Tuchel made comments when Jude Bellingham was out of the England camp that actually it was quite a harmonious squad.
But maybe that's a conversation he's going to have with him between now and the World Cup and say, listen, I must say you're not going to start, but there's competition for that number 10 place. So if you're not, then there's no sulking because after 2 games, you might come on and score and then you're starting for the rest of the tournament.
The other thing is as well, Morgan Rogers is still a very young player and although there's similar sort of age groups in terms of experience, he's not as experienced as Jude Bellingham and hasn't been playing at the highest level like Jude Bellingham hasn't played Champions and won Champions League finals. But it might be the case that they might say, well, actually, that role's probably going to have to be shared over the course of the tournament because it's very hot.
You're going to need the
demands a lot. So what you'll end up doing is you may well start a couple of games in the group stages, Morgan, but actually when it comes to the knockouts, we're probably going to use Jude.
It might be who you're playing against as well.
Might be.
It might suit, might play more defensive-minded player in Jude Bellingham because you're playing a better team. You know what I mean? A lot's going to change during the tournament.
And there are a lot of games.
I remember the Euros when, was it Euros 2021, where Foden got his hair dyed blonde like Gaza. Saka, after 2 or 3 games, took his place. And Saka and Sterling were stars of the tournament, not Foden. So a lot can change. You can't look at that first game, who's starting. You have to be open-minded. It's a long tournament.
You mentioned the possibility of a backup striker for Ollie Watkins and Kane. I suppose the first question is there room for a third backup striker?
Well, you don't necessarily need one because obviously he's going to play with one up front. You've got players there who can play as a false number 9 if possible, although he tried it with Phil Foden, didn't he, in one of the recent games. That didn't really work. I think Watkins will be the understudy, and I'm not sure there's anyone who's knocking on the door loudly enough really to,
Rashford will be the
get
third,
on the
wouldn't
plane.
he?
Yeah, you can
Rashford
play
will play
Rashford there. I mean, I think Rashford will go when Thomas Tuchel seems to be a big fan of Marcus Rashford. You've got to say he's having a decent season at Barcelona.
If there is a third striker up for grabs, because if you do 2 players for every single position and an extra defender just for security, you still end up in a situation where you've got 3 extra slots. So you could end up taking a backup striker. Could that be Danny Welbeck, or could it be Player of the Month for December, Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Fabian Hertzler has been speaking about the possibility of bringing Danny Welbeck on board for the England squad at the World Cup.
Credits for medical team, and of course also for Danny, because he behaves very professional. He's preparing well for the training sessions. He does everything for good regeneration to make sure he's ready for the next session, for the next game. And therefore, I think he's a professional. And we can do a lot of things with him, but definitely we have to modify him in some ways. So he's not doing the trainings load what a young guy is doing, or what maybe young Danny Welbeck did.
Interesting from Fabian Hertzler talking about 35-year-old Danny Welbeck, who will still only be 35 by the time we get... we'll be 35 by the time we get to the World Cup in the summer. Capped 42 times for England. He's been in good form this season. Lots of consistency, 9 in 23. Calvert-Lewin is the other contender, 4th top scorer in the Premier League, which is remarkable considering he's only started 14 games. He's got 11 caps to his name. Would you want the purple patch of Dominic Calvert-Lewin or the consistency of Welbeck?
Welbeck. Better player for me. Yes, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has done very well, but if you look at all of his goals, yes, he's in the right place at the right time, but I look at Welbeck's goal against Manchester United. I don't think that's a goal that Calvert-Lewin would have scored this season. And why not? Take him as that first striker. But what I look at with this squad of players is there's so many number 10s and so many wingers that are available. Look at someone like Bowen. Look at Eze, Palmer, Foden. There's so many options. Maybe he takes 2 strikers and extra wingers. Or 10s.
What do you think?
I don't think he'll take a third striker. I agree with you. I think if Danny was going to get a call up, it would have happened by now. Yeah. There aren't too many more windows, are there? We've got these international friendlies in March against Japan and Uruguay.
Yes.
And then obviously you've got the friendlies in Miami, by which time he'll already know the makeup of his World Cup squad. So, yeah, I think Danny Welbeck's time has probably gone. And I'm not sure that Dominic Calvert-Lewin will be able to force his way in either.
Be interesting to see what happens with that. Of course, we're bringing you all the games of the World Cup on talkSPORT, talkSPORT 2, and the talkSPORT app.